Welcome everyone to Canuc Resources Corporation Zoom webinar. I introduce you to Christopher Berlet, the CEO of Canuc Resources. Hi, Chris.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us something about Canuc Resources and the San Javier Silver-Gold Project in Sonora?
Good, I certainly will. Thank you very much, Kay. Okay, so I think you can see the screen here, Canuc Resources. That's our, this is our deck that we've got a Zoom deck for doing Zoom calls. So, first thing is, you know, we have San Javier project down Sonora State, Mexico. We also have some natural gas in Texas. This is how we characterize it today. We basically had a lot of progress on our project since we started doing groundwork in July 2020. July, August, September, a lot changed for us. So we're characterizing the company today as having potential for a significant discovery on our on the San Javier project. Silver heavy IOCG is what it looks like. We also have, the company's also got some natural gas wells in Texas. There's 8 wells currently producing. We could probably support another 10 or 12 wells on these properties. They all have productive zones with very low decline rates of natural gas, pipelines right on the property. So it's cash flowing, and they're long, steady producers. There's other zones behind pipe above the current productive zones that we can bring on when there's depletion of these lower zones, and multiple further wells can be drilled. So these will be going for years to come. And then we have cash flow from an IoT business. And the objective of the cash flow in the company is simply to provide a measure of dilution control. So we cover our corporate. We don't have any management contracts. We don't have any options outstanding. It's a very tight, disciplined kind of management approach. A good team. Myself, you know, with some mining experience, I've been doing deals in one form or another for almost 20 years, and mining business on and off for 30 years. Rob Finley does a lot with the Conservative Party. My partner there has raised a lot of money for the company, and Tito Montano in Mexico, at least 40 years of experience, has been involved with a number of the significant discoveries in Sonora State, such as La Choya and Quitabac, and deposits, and also was in not in Sonora State, the early involved in the early stages of Campo Morado, has seen a lot of early discoveries turn into fantastic mineral wealth in and around Northwest Mexico, and is fully convinced that we are on the cusp of another such undertaking here at San Javier. A very competent group in there. IOCG, that's kind of, and I'll get to why. Basically, people a lot smarter than me have looked at this region and made this assessment. Dr. Murray W. Hitzman in particular, we'll talk about his reports and some of the work that was done there. Even the companies that have moved into the area beside us, Barksdale, very competent, run by very competent geological groups, and the Barolo, the newest Cisco spin-out, again, very competent people, so have looked at this area and classified as IOCG potential. So we're looking for this, the core of an IOCG deposit. We think there's a good chance it's on our ground there. This is directly from Wikipedia, 10 million to 4 billion tons, and tremendous size, relatively simple metallurgy, and relatively high grade of IOCG deposits can produce extremely profitable mines. So they're definitely company makers. The trick is finding them. We think there's a very good chance there's such a deposit on the core of our claims in San Javier. This slide, basically, it's not because of comparable deposit types, but basically because, you know, it shows that tremendous market value can accrete to companies that have significant discoveries. Silvercrest came on with a 5 million valuation, 26, and it's 1.6 billion in Virginia. Both these companies extremely well run. And lots of potential for wealth creation from mineral discoveries in Sonora State. That's the main reason I've got this slide up here. We think we have IOCG. It would be a very significant if we're able to prove that, and the market does ascribe value for mineral discoveries in Sonora State. So this is us. Okay, we came here in 2009, and town of San Javier. And we started here in the Southwest accumulating claims. We see very high to bonanza grades of silver and gold along the full 3-kilometer corridor. You can see by the structure of these claims, this was 17 separate owners. And we patiently accumulated claims from 2019 through to our RTO in 2017. So there's 3 kilometers of veins, there's sub-parallel veins. The average grade is 400 grams with a 2-gram gold credit and lead zinc. So by metal value, 40% silver, 30% gold, 30% lead zinc. Very high grades. Average head grade in a silver mine is about 160 grams. So at 400 grams, it's really on the high end with a significant gold credit. The silver systems in Sonora State seem to come with more gold. Certainly the case at Chiapas, and it's definitely evidenced here, averaging about 2 grams. In October of 2019, we acquired this claim, this El Tule claim, and that's where we think the core of this IOCG potential is. And it had never been looked at before. It was owned by a private Mexican coal operator, anthracite, interested in anthracite, and then metallurgical coal is their business. And so they had not done the kind of geological review of the claims. And so when we did groundwork, started our groundwork in July, we were basically, our crews were the first ones to really be looking at this area. To the east here was previously a company called Red Tiger, millions of dollars spent drilling in the early 2000s. And to the south, a company called Constellation Copper. Also in the early 2000s, again, millions of dollars spent drilling and investigating geologically. Our thesis always had been these veins that are evident along the full 3 kilometers were derived from a deep-seated porphyry or IOCG intrusion, either here or here on one of these other companies' claims. Our interpretation changed in July of this year, or August-September timeframe, as we uncovered here a large breccia zone. So when we came in here, this here is the lip. I'll show you. We started groundwork up here to the northeast. This is where we started. So on July 18th, this is the lip that we looked at. This is the claim group we talked about. We came in here and started the first week. We found a large breccia zone. And in week 1, it was more than 200 meters long and 50 meters wide, which was pretty interesting for us. We had seen breccias down in the southwest before that were 20 meters long on surface at 280 grams silver and 7 grams gold. So, you know, this was different than the veins that we'd seen and drilled and the subparallel veins that we picked up along this structure. This was breccias on surface that were highly mineralized with silver and gold down here. So when we saw this breccia, we started taking samples across the breccia structure, and we were really quite surprised at the size, 200 meters in the first week and 40 meters wide. So we were quite interested by this and pursued it actively. This is July 18th. The next week, July 25th, it doubled in size. So by this point, it's more than 400 meters long, 100 meters wide in portions. And we've taking assays, it's getting significantly larger, and we're starting to pay attention to the potential for this structure. Week 3, August 1st, by week 3, it doubled again. And now it breaks south, fault controlled, breaks south, and it's at least 600 meters in strike length from north-south and about 60 to 80 meters wide at points. So this is now the principal focus as we're starting to uncover this breccia body. We're actively pursuing this on a daily basis. This is the 3rd week into the program, August 1st, 2020. August 8th, we find old workings all the way down through the structure, and it goes down to 800 meters in strike length. And these old workings, so then we take assays. It took us until about the middle of September to get the assays, but there were old workings, multiple old workings, 10 or 12 old workings, along through the middle of the breccia structure on magnetite. It was clearly evidence, visibly detectable magnetite. And we got assays for that by about the middle of September, and it turned, there were bonanza grades of silver, very high to bonanza, up to 2,800 grams, over half a meter, and several of 1,000 grams, etc., with magnetite throughout this structure. The breccia itself was mineralized up to 1 ounce, basically, through the back of the structure. So at this point, it's 800 meters long, 80 meters wide. There's multiple old workings down the center of the breccia body, and they are proving to have very high to bonanza grades of silver with gold traces in it. And we're looking at this and trying to determine the significance of magnetite. Around this time, we also found a report which had been written in 2006 by Dr. Murray Hitzman. And Dr. Hitzman was the head of the Department of Geology at the Colorado School of Mines. He had been visiting claims south of here on what at that time was Constellation copper ground. And his report says, look, that he believes that ground south of there is the upper levels of an IOCG system, and that the absence of magnetite suggested to him that it had been faulted off from the core. So when we saw magnetite, found this report, and looked carefully at his report, we started to review the possibility of an IOCG kind of prospect here, basically in the middle of our claim groups. So this is where we are today now. Today, we have this 1 square kilometer area is peppered with magnetite swarms. So there's magnetite throughout here, throughout the old workings. With we've detected high grades of gold, copper, and silver, and more than 20% of the assays that we've taken in this area are over assay for silver, had to be sent back for further review. That's above 100 grams, so above 3 ounces. 20% of the samples, and several of them were high up to bonanza grade. So the magnetite swarm is over an area of 1 square kilometer. And this is important because Dr. Hitzman's report says the absence of magnetite suggests to him that the area south of here is the faulted cap, and that if you find, what he's effectively saying is, if you can look for magnetite, you'll find the core of an IOCG system. So this is consistent with what had been in that report. And so this is our interpretation today. So this is October. Now, in this year, other things have started to happen at the project. In August, Barksdale Resources came on what had been the Constellation copper claims. So, and they were successful raising money. Again, those folks are, they've got some great investors, known to be successful mining investors, and very credible group, and they have a great deal of geological experience. So it was quite flattering for us to have them come and join the party at San Javier, so to speak. And then in October, an even bigger company, a spin out from Osisko Gold Royalties, came also to contiguous claims now to the east of us. And that was great news to us also. It's a ringing endorsement of the area. And so we were, both of them have resources. Both of them picked up claims that had been drilled comprehensively in the early 2000s. The case of Osisko, it looks like 1 million ounces of resources in 3 separate deposits, or Berlet Ventures, pardon me, and the intention to build mine there. Barksdale with the intention to conduct exploration and further their existing resources and investigate further the possibilities of IOCG. So this is what that looks like. These are the claims for Barksdale. These are the claims for Osisko. This is our ground, and this is where we think the core of the IOCG is. So it's they're contiguous. They're contiguous on the south, contiguous on the east, and obviously significantly bigger market caps and much more qualified folks involved in those companies. And that's just, for us, very flattering that the area that we were working in was of interest to companies of that caliber, and those kinds of people with the expertise and the capital that they can bring to the area. But today we're kind of investigating the possibility of the IOCG core here. When Dr. Hitzman referred to the upper levels, he was talking to this area here, and it's quite interesting, his report. It's quite reflective of a number of things. I'll get to it in a sec here. So this area, San Javier, has a number of infrastructure advantages. You can see there's 3-phase power directly to the town. There's paved roads directly to the town. There's groundwater available. There's an unused mill on the San Antonio claims. So there's a lot of infrastructure advantages here, and that's not lost on the Berlet Ventures folks and the people that are committed to now building mines and bringing significant capital to this area. It's a great jurisdiction. It's in a place where real wealth is created for shareholders consistently in Sonora State, Mexico. And there's a mining-friendly ejido here with only 74 members, and some very real and meaningful infrastructure advantages to the area, to the project area. So this is where we're at today. Key drivers. The principal takeaway from here is that we think this breccia structure, and I'll show you why, because we'll go and we'll take a quick look at Dr. Hitzman's report, but we think this breccia structure, this 800 meters by 80 meters, could be the IOCG could be an IOCG type deposit, which would be extremely high grade, silver dominant, polymetallic, and would have a quite a significant metal value in metal endowment. So that would be exciting. Everything that we've seen here, this is IOCG discovery potential. Everything we've seen here is consistent with Dr. Hitzman's report, which we only uncovered in August, that refers to IOCG core discovery potential in this area. So that's very interesting. Here's our steps. We have a high frequency magnetic survey starting now. It's in progress and or very soon to start, with equipment being mobilized. Over the breccia and the area, the 1 square kilometer area, looking for those magnetite swarms which are manifest on surface, looking for concentrations below surface, which would be consistent with IOCG type core potential that was referred to by Dr. Hitzman. We'll follow that up in next week or the week after with low frequency magnetic surveys that'll determine depth and orientation of the structures and drilling. We're going to be drilling in December, and we have mobilized. We've made agreements with Minera Carbones, and we'll mobilize the site for drilling in early December 2020. Okay, so our natural gas wells in Texas, they're good. Like I say, very long life, low decline, and that covers corporate. We're pretty disciplined in terms of how we run the business, what we spend money on. We're tight, you might call it, but careful with our money, and we've been able to secure ownership of our claims and ride through a cycle, and partly due to these long life natural gas wells. There's currently 8 wells, could probably support another 10 or 12 wells within the 2 leases that we have. They all have multiple zones above the currently productive zones that can be produced. They have low decline rates and long life. So we're getting maybe up to $20,000, $30,000 a month. And it effectively helps us run our business and avoid unnecessary shareholder dilution. So today we're at 84 million shares outstanding. At a 25 cents, it's about a $20 million Canadian market cap. That's much smaller than the companies that are also the other companies that are in San Javier, but reserves the potential for significant revaluation in the event that we can be successful in having the type of having success with the type of deposit that we're after. This is a deal that we're working on funding, and we're closing tranches of, again, at roughly a $20 million valuation. So that's the Zoom deck. I'm going to go to the website now. If you bear with me one sec here. Okay, so I'm going to the website, the section that we've got up there called IOCG Discovery. There's a few things that that this website does that I'd like to point out. Number one, we'll just watch this short video. This is the breccia zone that we talk about. Very substantial, 800 meters long, 80 meters wide.
You can see at the very top of the hill.
Yes.
The soft boulder.
Yes.
Like this, top of the hill.
Yes.
And then you see a rock boulder here, and oxidized. That's the fault. That's the creation of a very upper part of it. And it comes like all the way from the great one, just piece of it.
Yes.
And this for sure over the wall.
So that's 800 meters of breccia from the top down, and 80 meters across, starting on the fault on the from us on the left, and grading on average maybe up to 1 ounce, with bonanza grades of old workings all the way down. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. We're going to call it Silver Mountain. Okay. Okay, so the main thing about that is, that's the breccia that we think. But here's now I'm going to show Dr. Hitzman's report in 2006, because, basically he called it. He called it almost exactly what we're finding today. So his report starts talking. He was visiting again the Constellation copper claims to the south there, and he says on page 5 of his report, this is accessible on our website. It says little to no evidence was seen of magnetite mineralization. Okay, but in our case, 1.5 kilometers north, intense magnetite swarming that we see. So we do see intense magnetite that comes with silver and throughout that breccia structure and in the 1 square kilometer as we outlined. So he says, little to no evidence was seen of magnetite mineralization. The alteration suite and the lack of magnetite suggests that these prospects represent very high levels of an IOCG system. The absence of discrete magnetic anomalies in the area of Constellation's properties suggests that these prospects may be structurally detached from the lower portions of the hydrothermal systems that would be expected to have very large areas of sodic alteration. So he says it again on pages 7 and 8. Page 7, he says, one possibility is that Cerro Verde, and that's the a kilometer and a half to the south, the Constellation copper claims. One possibility is that Cerro Verde represents a high-level portion of an IOCG system that has been structurally displaced along low-angle structures from its deeper, more magnetic, rich core. Okay, and then he says it again. Little magnetite was observed in drill core or in rocks in the field. Those soils were locally enriched in fine-grained magnetite, suggesting it is present in the area. And our ground, a kilometer and a half to the north, is intense magnetite swarms, and magnetite with silver. But then in his conclusions, Dr. Hitzman says, a deeper zone with potential mineralization, magnetite bearing, should be present somewhere in the area. And based on available magnetics, this zone could be to the southwest, the northeast, or north. Well, that's exactly where it is. It was about, it seems like 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters north is exactly where we found this, this magnetite bearing with intense magnetite swarms, breccia zone that's got very high to bonanza grades of silver with the magnetite, and then silver background between 4 grams and 29 grams throughout the entirety of the breccia structure. That is sizable. On surface at 800 meters long in strike length and 80 meters wide, untested by drilling as of yet. So, and then he says in his final statement, it appears to me that there's potential for a very high grade, probably structurally controlled deposit somewhere in the district. And that's in effect what we're looking for at San Javier. So, so there's lots of evidence, lots of smoke. We're conducting magnetic surveys and we'll be drilling targets and we expect to see, you know, magnetic targets around these magnetic swarms. Magnetite by definition is going to respond to the magnetic surveys, and we should be able to report results on this process in Q1 2020. So, so thank you very much for being on the Zoom call. Thank you very much indeed for attending the Zoom call, and appreciate your attention, your interest in the company.